Fat loss is difficult, and I know because I myself have been there. I've tried unsustainable diets, I've tried unsustainable training regimes, and really they've done me more harm than good. Physically, I've experienced things like low energy, loss of muscle mass, even loss of libido. And mentally, I've also had an unhealthy relationship with food, which has been periods of restriction, then punctuated by periods of binges. And that's not what we want. And things like that can make fat loss very difficult. Now, it's only in the last few years that I've managed to crack the code, and I've even had a fat loss coach myself in the past to help me overcome some of these difficulties into maintaining a healthy, strong, lean physique for the long term. So I'm going to share with you today some of the reasons why fat loss is difficult and what you can do to make the process much easier. One of the first things that makes fat loss difficult is knowing which diet to do. There are so many diets out there: keto, intermittent fasting, Atkins, but which one is going to help you lose fat the quickest? Now, with all that information out there, it can be very difficult to know which diet you should do and which diet will work for you. Now, something that most of these diets don't mention is the fact that the only reason they work is because they put you in a calorie deficit. It's not because you've eliminated carbs, which has stopped insulin from storing fat, not because of the magic of hormones that are released later on in the fast when you're intermittent fasting. It's simply because these diets have found ways and rules to put you into a calorie deficit, and they don't really mention that. Once you do figure out that a calorie deficit is all you need, you just need to figure out how many calories you'd need to maintain your weight, and then figure out a moderate calorie deficit, which is around about 300 to 400 calories less than maintenance. And then that's going to put you in a nice moderate calorie deficit where you can include foods that you like and that don't adhere to strict rules, so that you can have a more flexible approach to losing fat and keeping it off for good. And it means that you're not going to go through these periods of restriction, which I went through, and then periods of binging when you feel that you can't resist those donuts, cookies, french fries for any longer. So the next thing that makes fat loss difficult is thinking that you need to do a lot of intense exercise. And I've been there myself. There was a period of time when I used to do a lot of HIIT. In particular, I used to do this training app called Freeletics, which was basically a burpee fest. And every day I'd have to do probably 100 burpees, which is absolutely crazy. But I was convinced that because I was working hard, because I was sweating, because I was exhausted, I was doing a lot of good for my body. But actually, here's two things that were happening. One, I was likely losing a lot of muscle mass as a result of doing far too much exercise. And when you lose muscle mass, it makes it very hard to maintain a strong, lean physique for the long term as your metabolism falls. Secondly, exercise became a chore. It was something that I didn't really enjoy anymore. It was something that I felt like I had to do to lose fat. And that's a completely unsustainable and unhealthy relationship to have with exercise. Now, intense workouts and intense exercise regimes are something that are kind of encouraged as something that you need to do to be active, healthy, and to be in great shape. That could not be further from the truth. So when I discovered that all I need to do was strength training and steps, I developed a much more sustainable and healthy relationship with exercise that wasn't about beasting myself, but was more about just building myself up. So if there's one takeaway here, I want you to not think that you need to do intense exercise and you need to do a lot of exercise to lose fat. Find something that firstly encourages you to move more, and then start strength training and start walking more, and that's going to be a great way for you to lose fat and keep it off for good. Okay, and the final point is not having the confidence to strength train in the gym. Gyms can be very intimidating places. It seems like everyone knows what they're doing there. People are lifting big heavy weights, people are making loud aggressive noises. So for those reasons, it can be slightly intimidating. So how can you counter that? Well, the most important thing is to actually just make sure you have your own program, and it doesn't need to have complex exercises. Just start with simple exercises, even start with body weight, and make sure that you know what you're doing when you are in the gym, because not knowing what you're doing is something that's not going to allow you to feel so confident when you're in there. Now, if you don't know what you're doing in the gym and you don't have a plan, I'm going to link below my strength training for fat loss video series, which is going to give you a lot of guidance, support, and allow you to know exactly what to do in the gym, how to perform the exercises, and give you the confidence that you need to make progress with your fat loss journey. So there's 3 reasons why fat loss can be difficult and why you may find the fat loss journey confusing. But if you address those points, you're going to find that you're going to have a lot more longevity and success, and your fat loss journey will be much easier, and you'll realize that A, fat loss is simple, and B, it doesn't actually need to be as difficult as you may think it needs to be. So now that you know why fat loss is difficult, hopefully you can address those points so that you can lose fat and keep it off for good.